So I had a thought today, right? This morning. If this was my last day, what would I do? If I knew I was going to die today, what would I do? And so I was sitting in my car this morning before I left the house. I was like, should I stay home with my wife and spend my last day with her? Or go to work and do God's will? Change somebody's life? I thought about that, and it was real deep, right? I mean, most people might not think so, but anyway, it was like, if I stay home, that's what I would do for me. And I thought, man, that would be so selfish. If the Lord has a calling for me to change somebody's life, even if that just means me showing up, it puts them in a different place that God's going to use them later. I don't know. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go to my employer. I'm going to do God's will. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do my will. I'm going to do God's will. So then I started thinking as I was driving, there's this idea of limiting beliefs. And those limiting beliefs that I've been thinking about are about believing in me, right? I'm limiting my beliefs of my accomplishments, of what I can do. I was like, yeah, that's not... and then I was like, wait a minute. My limiting beliefs go further than that. I've been having limiting beliefs about what God can do and where God can take me. I was just like, wow. I've been having limiting beliefs on God, who can do anything. I've been working class all my life. I accepted that as my lot. And that's what I would be. Right? That was me again. Like staying home. My last day. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to go be my best self, right? And I'm like, what is that? What does that even mean? Be my best self. Again, that was the me thing. So I was like, wow, what is my best self? What would that look like? So I started thinking. My best self is to fear God and keep His commandments. Solomon said this is the whole duty of man. And I was thinking, I was driving, I was like, man, I'm 56 years old. I just barely learned that like 6 months ago. The whole duty of man took me 56 years to learn. So anyway, my limiting beliefs about God, right? So I decided to get this YouTube channel really taking it serious, right? And doing it regularly and making it a calling that God can do anything, right? I believe that He can do anything. Take this channel to reach 10 billion people. That's like my ultimate goal. Like setting the bar high, putting the target out there, like not I'd heard this a lot of times. The worst thing you could do is set the bar too low and achieve it and think you've had success. And so I was like, oh man, so I set this goal, right? In 24, in October, like the first or second week of October, that if by December 31st, 2024, I will have to achieve these two things, right? I'm not going to tell you what they are. I have to have achieved those two things to know that God has called this. So I put the target out there. Then I surpassed both of them. Like in a month and a half. Both of them. And they're like crazy. I was like, oh my goodness. I'm there. What now? So I went ahead and doubled everything up. I was like, well, I had prayed one time, several times actually, but when I started praying for this that one time, it was like, Lord, when Elijah asked Elisha what he would want from the Lord through Elijah, what would that be? And Elisha says, I would like to have a double portion of your spirit. He said, wow, that's a hard thing, man. Okay, well, if you're here, when I go up, the Lord will grant it. So Elijah told him, the Lord will grant it. And, you don't think much about that, but it's huge. So anyway, I thought, well, if the Lord will do something for me through Elijah, through Elisha, I want a double portion of Elisha. That's what I want. I want a double portion of Elisha. So I continued thinking that, and on the way to work today, limiting beliefs, limiting God, limiting what God can do in my life, not believing that these things are possible today, right now. And society, like, the thing that worries me the most is I look on YouTube and I see all these people talking about how God talked to them and what God said to them, and it's just, I don't even know what to think about that. So I was like, man, I don't want to be that. What do I do? What do I do? So I was thinking, well, one day if my children ever look at any of my videos and they find this one, what would I tell them? What would I say? My legacy that I tried to lay, did I accomplish it? Probably not. Because I look at it through their eyes, it's like, oh, Dad, you just messed up everything all the time. I just didn't. So how are you going to be double Elisha? You're all jacked up. How you going to do that? God's going to call you? I don't think so. They're going to be like, not you. You understood the story. So I'm like, yeah, what does that look like? What do I do about that? I don't care. I really don't care. So I was reading the Stoics, and I'm not a Stoic believer, but I think some of the things that they said made sense. Like, act like as if you don't care, because you can't let what other people think about you create baggage. You're going to carry around what other people think about you. That ain't going to help the cause of God. And so I'm in between two ideas, right? Idea one is what the Pharisees were doing, right? Standing on the corners, preaching and praying in front of everybody and wanting everybody like, oh, look how holy, right? Then I got this other perspective where it's like, I'm in the closet praying, but I won't come out of there and tell nobody anything. I just keep everything in the closet, like ashamed to bring what God is doing to me in the closet out and sharing it. So I'm in between those two, right? My light's all falling. It's fallen twice now. Where do you go? Where's the... And I'm not... Believe me, I ain't trying to get to the lukewarm stage, but I know that there's a moderation for too much or too little, right? There's moderation and too little as well. Like, you can be doing nothing, right? There's a moderation to doing nothing, right? You can't just do nothing 100%. Oh... Fell again. I'm never gonna get this thing done. Well, I was gonna read this here. It says, my son, pay attention to my wisdom. Listen well to my words of insight, that you may maintain discretion, and your lips may preserve knowledge. For the lips of an adulteress drips honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword, and her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave. She gives no thought to the way of life. Her paths are crooked, but she knows it not. We always think of that as like a woman, right? That's knowledge, like the type of teachings you get under. The ones that give you limiting beliefs about what God can do. They don't even know. She don't even know that her knowledge is taking her and whoever follows her to death. I don't want to be that. That's not my best self. My best self today, my plan today for my best self. If this is my last day and I died today, my plan for today would be my best self, and that consists of these two things. Fear God and keep his commandments. If I can do that today, I will have been my best self today. Bless God.